one till, so we're gonna go ahead and get started on this. I'd like to call the Scott County Board of Adjustment meeting on March the 5th to order, please. Our first order of business is approval of the February 5th, 2026 minutes.
Okay, we need to make one correction in the minutes, and that's where Tommy Cooper was absent due to illness, so need to make that correction, otherwise we'll approve the February 5th, 2026 minutes.
Okay, motion's been made to approve with the one correction. I need a second on that, please. I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Minutes passed. All right, the next order, Charlie, you'd like to swear in our speakers, please?
If everyone signed in to speak, if you can stand and raise your right hand, please. Do you swear or affirm the statement you've made tonight to be the truth to the best of your information and belief? I do. Thank you.
All right. For those of you looking at your agenda, we are going to do a little bit of change here. We are going to actually do the new applications first. So staff, we will start with the S 2026-06.
Good evening, everyone. This application is for a conditional use permit request for an outdoor storage facility and non-retail sales of precast products. The site is around 15.5 acres, is zoned B2 highway commercial. Overall, staff recommends approval of this request. Shown here is the aerial view of the property, which is completely undeveloped. The property is adjacent to Interstate I-75 towards the west and is accessed from Tripod Circle Road as seen on the east. Given the proximity to these major corridors, truck access is via existing roadway and should not impact residential streets. As seen in the image, the property is surrounded by I-1 light industrial zoning to the north, expanding to the east. B2 commercial zoning immediately to the south and east, and some A1 agricultural zoning to the west across the interstate. In terms of the application request, the property is approximately 15.5 acres. The applicant proposes to utilize approximately 10 acres for outdoor storage of the materials, which will be constructed to roadway standards to allow internal truck circulation throughout the site. The use is not retail in nature and does not involve on-street manufacturing, fabrication, or processing. Products to be stored outdoors include precast drain holes, manholes, concrete pipes, and related accessories. All manufacturing occurs off-site, and the current property will function strictly as a storage and distribution facility. The applicant anticipates 3 to 7 employees on site daily, with hours of operation Monday to Friday, 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Truck traffic is estimated at 5 to 20 trips per day, with an average of approximately 8 daily trips. 2 to 3 company trucks and trailers will be parked overnight on site. A red iron metal warehouse building, as seen in the image, is proposed for outdoor storage of weather-sensitive materials and overnight parking of smaller equipment. Exact building placement will be determined during engineering and development plan review. Parking will be located in front of the warehouse and paved, and the storage yard will be gravel surfaced. One driveway is anticipated from Tripod Circle towards the east. Concept materials indicate a proposed detention pond along the southern portion of the site. However, engineering has not been completed yet. A stream exists on the eastern edge of the property, running parallel to the boundary line from north to south, and includes limited floodplain areas. So additional permits and approvals may be required prior to construction. The applicant has stated no encroachment into floodplain areas will occur. As per section 4.422B of the zoning ordinance, Outdoor storage and processing is considered as a conditional use within the B2 zoning district. The proposed use qualifies under this provision as the primary activity is outdoor storage of commercial products along with warehouse operations. While outdoor storage can present visual impacts, the overall character of the area includes highway-oriented commercial and industrial activity. In terms of screening, the applicant has not proposed any for the outdoor storage area. Since the property has double frontage along Interstate I-75, Section 6.125 of the Landscape and Land Use Buffer Ordinance requires a minimum 10-foot buffer along the freeway edge, including 1 tree per 30 linear feet and a continuous 6-foot-high planting wall, hedge, or fence. Staff recommends including this requirement as a condition of approval to be reviewed during the development plan process. Activity will consist of trucks and forklifts operating during business hours only, that is from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. No manufacturing or processing noise is anticipated. Given the surrounding commercial and interstate context, staff finds that the anticipated operational noise should not exceed levels typical of the area. In terms of lighting, poles are proposed along the main entry to the warehouse. A freestanding sign is proposed near the road with dimensions of approximately 12 feet by 6 feet. Since there will be improvements and increase in the site activity, staff would require that a development plan be submitted. With appropriate conditions and development plan approval, staff finds that the proposal will not adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare. The site's location within a commercial corridor supports the suitability of the storage operations. So this is the image that shows the city of Georgetown Public Works facility located directly adjacent to the subject property. Staff reached out to the city engineer and they further confirmed that the proposed storage will not affect their operations. In terms of findings again, the site is 15.65 acres, B2 highway commercial parcel along Tripod Circle with access to I-75 and US 620. Outdoor storage and processing are conditional uses in the B2 district. The proposal is for storage and distribution of precast concrete products manufactured off-site. Surrounding areas are majorly commercial and light industrial, supporting compatibility. Operations are limited to weekday business hours with moderate truck traffic. With buffering, stormwater controls, and development plan review, the use is not expected to impact public health, safety, or character of the area. In conclusion, staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit for the outdoor storage and non-retail sales of precast concrete products at the subject property. Should the board approve the application, staff recommends including the standard conditions of approval as mentioned in the staff report with 4 additional conditions, which include that the applicant shall submit and obtain approval of a development plan prior to operations. No encroachment into any floodplain or stream buffer without appropriate approvals. All signage shall comply with applicable ordinance standards and receive required permits. And lastly, the project site should be operated only as an outdoor storage facility and no operations related to manufacturing, fabrication, or processing would be allowed. Thank you.
Anyone have any questions for Toshi?
I guess before we get started, was any concerns for me, the surrounding property owners or anything?
Other than the Public Works Department, we did not receive any concerns.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here?
Thank
Would you
you.
like to add anything to that?
Thank, staff has done a wonderful job in the preparation of the presentation, and Toshi did a commendable job in explaining to you what was going on. My client is the applicant is under the name of John Ross, and he is the president of his company called Infrastructure Concrete Materials, and they operated with the name of ICAST. They are a Kentucky-based business located in Beaver Dam, Kentucky. They do all their manufacturing there. They manufacture prefab concrete products used in the infrastructure service industries. They sell their products to states and municipalities all around Kentucky, Tennessee, Ohio, West Virginia, and cities throughout that region. This site will be used just as a storage and distribution facility. Nothing will be built on this site. No manufacturing will take place on this site. This is simply a place to store and sell and distribute the big concrete pieces that sometimes that you'll see when they're doing a sewer project, manhole covers, culverts, those sort of things. And I think they feel the need to get their distribution a little bit farther away from Beaver Dam in addition to their Beaver Dam facility, and they've chosen Georgetown as that site, I think primarily because of its access to a lot of our highway. The project will sit along the interstate with the appropriate buffering. I think it meets the criteria under the ordinance for a conditional use permit. And I know you all have a busy night. I'll let you ask any questions that you may have rather than stammer on up here.
Does anyone have any questions?
I make a motion to approve S 2026-06 based upon the recommendations from the staff or conditions of approval.
Motion's been made, I'll second it. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Charlotte, I just want to bring to, the application was filed under Jonathan's name and the name of the company. I know we have the criteria that if it changes hands, my client will take title in the corporate name. The contract was signed before I got involved, and it has his name individually on it, but I prepared the application, I believe, in both his name and the company's name.
I believe that's correct, and I think that's fine. We'll
Okay.
note that you won't have to come back just for that transfer.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Next application, S 2026-07.
So the next application is again for a conditional use permit request for a secondary residence at the property located at 1251 Stamping Ground Road. The site is around 10 acres, is zoned A1 agricultural, and is accessed from Stamping Ground Road. Overall, staff recommends approval of this request. Shown here is the aerial view of the site. And the property sits within an agriculturally zoned neighborhood. This is just a contour map just to give an idea of the general topography. In terms of the applicant's request, the applicant proposes to construct a secondary single-family residence on the same tract as a future primary dwelling. Each residence is approximately 50 by 50 feet and is centrally positioned on the parcel. Access will be provided via an existing 50-foot access easement extending from Stamping Ground Road along the western property line. A new internal driveway is proposed within the property, which will be shared by both residences and will connect to the easement. The secondary residence is proposed to be located approximately 100 feet from the nearest property line. Overhead electric lines run along the southern property boundary, and an underground water line exists near the southeast corner. No conflicts with the proposed building areas have been identified at this time. Section 4.12L of the zoning ordinance lists secondary single-family residences for related family members or farm workers as a conditional use in the A1 zoning district. As per the regulations, the A1 zone permits one dwelling unit per 5 acres. With 10.21 acres, the property has sufficient acreage to accommodate 2 dwellings. Staff recommends an additional condition requiring the secondary dwelling to be located at least 100 feet from the primary residence and any future accessory structures. This ensures compliance and eliminates the need for a variance should the property be subdivided in the future. Approval of this application would not adversely impact the public health, safety, or welfare. It would not alter the character of the general vicinity. It will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public and would not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulations. These are some of the images of the site provided by the applicant. In the center, no sinkholes have been addressed.
Flooding there.
In terms of findings again, the project site is 10.21 acre parcel zone A1 agricultural. Section 4.12L permits secondary residences for family members or farm workers as a conditional use in the A1 district. The A1 zone permits one dwelling per 5 acres. The subject property meets this density requirement. The proposal meets the minimum 50-foot setback requirement from property lines. Approval of the conditional use permit is not anticipated to adversely impact public health, safety, or welfare, or alter the character of the general vicinity. In conclusion, staff recommends approval of the request for a conditional use permit for a secondary residence at the subject property. Should the board approve the application, staff recommends including standard conditions of approval as mentioned in the staff report with 2 additional conditions which include that the applicant shall build the secondary residence at least 50 feet from all property lines and at least 100 feet from the primary residence and any other accessory structure to be proposed on the property to eliminate the need for a variance should the property be subdivided in the future. As the board is made aware that our office received several emails and concerns related to deed restrictions for the subdivision and which are separate from the zoning ordinance. For board's reference, the staff has handed out copies and the staff review is limited to the zoning standards applicable to this case.
Charlie, so with
Just ask.
the deed restrictions, that's something that we're looking at our ordinance, right?
Yes, we are, and generally, we don't involve ourselves, period, in deed restrictions. And we don't usually consider them, because, we just don't usually consider them. Those are a matter of private contract. This one gives me a bit of pause, because most of the things we come across they're just maybe not inconsequential, but they aren't major. This is quite specifically prohibited by the deed restrictions. We've got letters submitted that there will in fact be litigation if we approve this, because it's a violation and should not happen. And basically, I guess my concern is that puts us in a position of, yes, it complies with all our rules, but if we approve it, then we in effect bring litigation into the neighborhood, as well as perhaps even an appeal of us. That's just not something we usually consider. This seems to be a little more serious than usual. So I guess what I would say to it is, even though it's not exactly what I usually recommend, I would probably suggest that if in fact the board chose to use that as a reason to deny, that's probably not unreasonable under the circumstances. This isn't a small variance. This isn't a small
It
bit of
seems
activity.
significant.
This is a major deviation from basically the regime that they all bought under out there. So,
Their character.
yeah, again, that's not something I usually recommend. This is significantly more of an intrusion into their,
Okay.
their common scheme, if you will, to use language from another ordinance.
So we're off the norm, and you say we need to veer this time toward the
Well,
fact that there are
and I'm not exactly saying you should, but that's the reservations I've got about this. That's why you're not hearing what I usually say, which is, this is a private matter, we don't get involved.
All right, does anyone have any questions for Toshi about this yet? Is the applicant here? Would you like to add anything?
I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Somebody have any questions for the applicant?
About the proposal.
When did you decide to have a secondary dwelling if the deed restriction said you could only have one?
Well, the secondary dwelling actually is something that is allowed by the deed restrictions, if the neighbors are approving, and also.
Can you speak
if
up,
it-
please?
If it doesn't impact the neighborhood in a negative way, that doesn't make it look overcrowded and that sort of thing, it is allowed with neighbor approval.
Okay, because that's not what I
That's
was
not what it
presented with. It
says,
says
yeah.
each tract shall be used for single-family residential use and/or agriculture.
Scotland Hills prohibits
Yeah.
more than one
tract
single-family
on it.
residence per tract, and that would be one tract.
If you keep reading, it will say that you can have approval with the neighborhood.
Could you please speak up? I've got to
Yeah,
take notes.
it can be-
It's not a true microphone.
Oh, yeah,
You just have
that's
to
not
say-
for volume.
it
You've got
doesn't
to
work?
provide the volume.
That's okay.
Yeah, that's just for
So,
recording.
you can take a vote with the entire neighborhood to get it approved if needed.
Did you try that without coming here?
Well, I wasn't sure that it was necessary. I didn't know that anyone would necessarily have a problem with it, considering that we're actually proposing less buildings than many of the tracts already have.
So there's already a tract with 2 dwellings,
No, we
Not
don't.
houses, but
got
buildings.
barns
There's
and
several houses,
sheds.
several barns, several houses.
so accessory.
It's less buildings, less square footage for the whole plot compared to what some of the other plots already have.
Does anyone have any more questions for her at this moment, or should we go ahead and?
Let's see if we, neighbors have.
Okay, we'll get back to you.
Okay.
Because you were saying you didn't think the neighbors may have a problem with it. Is there any other of the neighbors that are here to speak about this? Could one of you step forward, please? Yeah, one may have. And you did sign up to speak, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And your name is?
Your name?
Guy Cozy from 1273 Stamping Ground Road. I'm in the same neighborhood. Good afternoon. Thank you for having us today. So I'd like to address the first, the requirement for accessory status very quick. I think it's important for this board to recognize that the application is for conditional use permit, which under section 412L of the ordinance, which is titled secondary single-family residence. Under the ordinance, any secondary or supplementary dwelling is legally classified as an accessory use. By definition, in Article 2, Section 2.1, an accessory use is a use that is other than the principal structure or use and is directly incidental and subordinate to the principal use. The A1 zoning only permits one principal residence per tract. The board's authority to approve a second home is dependent on that home being subordinate in scale and function to the first. The applicant's proposal is saying that each residence is going to be 50 feet by 50 feet. Mathematically and legally, a 25 square foot structure cannot be subordinate to another 2,500 square foot structure. By proposing 2 identical homes, the applicants are seeking to establish 2 equal principal residences. This contradicts the definition of a principal use, which is a predominant use to which a lot or property is or may be devoted, and to which all other uses are accessory, since neither house is predominant and neither is subordinate, this application fails to meet the fundamental criteria for a secondary residence under Section 4.2L. Also, I'd like to address the covenant and restrictions. While the board may suggest that private covenants are beyond the board's scope, the ordinance itself dictates otherwise. Article 7, Section 4.1, conflict with other instruments, explicitly mandates that in any conflict between this ordinance and any existing or private or future private covenants or deeds, the most restrictive in each case shall apply. Our neighborhood covenant and restrictions for Scotland Hills are more restrictive than the A1 zoning code. It strictly prohibits multifamily density and requires a minimum of 1,850 square feet for any residential structure. Because the applicant's proposal for co-equal 2,500 square foot independent households creates a multifamily density that violates the covenant, Section 4.1 requires the board to apply the more restrictive neighborhood standard and therefore deny the permit.
Charlie?
Covenants have to be changed in the circuit court, right?
Well, either that or by agreement.
We've never, like,
Never.
required a secondary to be smaller than the first, I mean.
Well,
by
he is,
definition,
he's correct. The language of it is,
Yes, right.
it's gotta be secondary and accessory to the principal.
They can't be
So-
equal.
Because I thought in the past, we've had older farmhouses where they have built newer houses for
Well,
family members.
but that's where they were replacing. That was not, well, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah,
But no,
okay.
these have always been for farm workers or for family members that
Okay.
needed a place. Basically, they did not
Okay,
exceed the principal, I don't believe.
okay.
If
But
you-
now, to that effect, though, if the second house all of a sudden became smaller by 100 feet, you're still saying that we are required to go by the
still
most restrictive, which says that the deed restrictions would take
Yeah.
precedence over the ordinance?
One
Is that
single
what he-
family per tract. And it's
That's
one-
what the ordinance says, that you guys to uphold the most restrictive.
First off, I frankly do not even recall that section. I'll have to look at that. I don't think that's legal, period. We cannot subvert public regulation to private contracts.
I think what he
So-
said in the past, yeah, because in the past, we have like done our part and then it goes on to the next part. So we just didn't,
Right.
we didn't say we're overriding it. We were just saying, that's not us. We do our part and then they do their
Absolutely.
part. But he is suggesting
Yeah,
tonight that we
yeah,
look-
there's no way we can waive
Right.
our regulations in favor of private. I think your former argument, however, is quite good.
Yeah,
It really should be subordinate to and accessory to.
I think that's the intent.
Thank you very much. Someone else? State your name, please.
Hey, excuse me, one second. Could you spell your name, please?
COZZI.
COZZI.
You're so much quicker than my ears.
COZZI.
COZZI? Oh, all right. Turned out to be simpler than I thought. I was trying to make it too hard.
You were hearing extra syllables.
Yes, thank you.
Members of the board, thank you. My name is Troy Delfino, and I am here in opposition to the conditional use permit request for a second dwelling on Tract 2 in the Scotland Hills subdivision. I'm not asking this board to enforce private covenants. CC&Rs are private agreements and cannot be the legal basis for your decision. The CC&Rs provide undisputed factual evidence about the character and development pattern of this subdivision. The recorded restrictions establish that every lot was created and limited to single-family residential use with no second dwelling, no temporary dwelling, and no single-family residential use, no non-single-family residential use permitted. Under KRS 100.237, a conditional use permit may be granted only when the proposed use properly integrates into the character of the area and when the applicant can lawfully carry out the use. The evidence shows neither requirement can be met. The established character of Scotland Hills is uniformly single-family residential. There are no two houses on any of these lots. And the proposed use is incompatible with that character. Because the applicant cannot legally construct or operate a second dwelling, the use is not feasible or lawful. Even if a CUP were granted, a conditional use permit cannot override the character of the area or make an unlawful or infeasible use permissible. And to add on, my decision to purchase this tract was based upon those CCNRs, so, and that's my statement.
Thank you.
I believe you have to acknowledge, there's some things you do have to acknowledge aside from the CCNRs. Thank you. Any
Are you-
questions for me?
Are either of you all adjoining?
I'm adjoining. I share a common road and common fence line.
Okay.
So my access and their access are the same road.
This directly affects you is what I was.
Are you the
Directly
black and white
connected.
house?
The big, no, that's Gee.
Okay. I live on
Black-
that road. I
Black-
pass y'all every
black
day.
barn- Big black barn, red roof. Show mules, show donkeys. So, okay,
Aw.
yeah, so,
All right, thank you.
thank you.
Did you wish to speak also? No? All right, does anybody have any question for the neighbors or for the applicant or for the staff?
If I may speak just
Oh,
quickly, this may be more informative in the general sense than in the
help us out
specific
here,
sense.
Bolton.
So as it relates to the secondary residence, typically at time of application, we don't require the applicant to provide square footages of one house or either, which is why in this circumstance, it's kind of unique to see an application that presents both at the same square footage. As you guys know, typically it's just get the permit and then the house is built. That's really the second thing I just wanted to mention, again, from staff's perspective, and we're very consistent with this, planning comes first. So in these circumstances where we have our ordinance and there are CCNRs in place here, and there's that question of, did the applicant go to the HOA first? No, they came here first. And that's, again, with my belief that planning should come first. And so as you go into considerations, just keep in mind, that's why staff didn't ask for this to be postponed. Staff didn't ask that question. Staff didn't look at the 2,500 square foot because frankly, we don't ask that of anybody else.
That-
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was talking about, the past, yeah, okay.
I just asked though if they had talked with the other neighbors because sometimes things can just be worked out that way.
Yeah.
I know we can't concern ourselves with HOAs.
All right, Charlie, where does this leave us?
Can I speak?
Yes. sir.
Yes. I'm sorry.
Nobody talked to us about adding a second house in advance.
Right.
An earlier attempt was made to subdivide the lot in October, which goes against CCNRs. It was a surprise to us. A sign was posted. Nobody had mentioned anything to us about this.
I
So,
saw the sign.
I don't
I
remember
saw the
Yeah.
sign on the
so
fence.
that failed.
Yeah.
Well, I approached the planning commission and pointed out some notes that were in the record for the initial application that contradicted the ability to subdivide. So now we're on to another attempt to subvert our CCNRs. Thank you.
I understand. Hope. Brett, okay.
Just missed you all so much. So, Mr. Delfino was correct. There was a previous application and an attempt to subdivide the property. Let's also just remain under the understanding that we're discussing a conditional use permit this evening, not the division of the property now or in the future.
Irrelevant.
But in the history of, the division was proposed, brought to staff for review, and also Mr. Delfino and other neighbors did express concern at that time. It was discovered by staff that it's not that the property cannot be divided, it would just have to be rezoned first. If the rezone was achieved, the division could be executed. So again, by density and ordinance and all other regulations by our books, either a division could be permitted or a secondary residence could be permitted, neither of which violate parcel size, density, et cetera. It's just the proper channels would have to be gone through. And in lieu of attempting to rezone the property, which we have not entertained an application for yet, this is what the applicants have brought forth at this time. A rezoning application nor a full review of a subdivision has occurred.
Well, I know in the past, sometimes we've made the decisions, as you said, based on the ordinance, and then it has to go to the other entity to figure out. But now Charlie's saying in this case that there is bearing, that we may need to consider this as part of it.
Yeah, it's.
So I'm personally up in the air here about understanding that. I mean, lawsuit wise, which way should we go? Should we pass
Well,
the buck, so to say?
We don't usually consider it at all.
Right.
We are usually dealing with a matter of a few feet, a
Right.
small accessory house. We're dealing with something that,
This is huge.
frankly, if y'all can't work it out, I'm sorry, but we're not really gonna worry with it, it's not our call.
Right.
To my knowledge, we have never been looking at anything remotely like comparable dwellings, like adding densities and all that, when clearly plats and restrictions and all that clearly say otherwise. That's why I'm saying, in this
Right.
particular situation, I can see why the board could say no for that reason,
All right,
even though that's not generally the position we take.
gotcha.
So, because we don't usually, we are not parties to private contracts, so we just don't enforce them. But on the other hand, we don't really always want to create
Right.
problems where problems may not otherwise need to exist.
Gotcha. All right, that being said, does anyone on the board have any questions?
I think
for
that
staff
she
or
has-
Applicant wants to say.
Some of the plots on the property are already 5 acres with one house on them, so the density does not change.
They bought it that
But
way.
they were sold that way, so
Yeah,
that's
they
really
bought
not
it that
relevant.
They were sold that
Yeah.
way.
Yeah, because I know when they posted, some were sold as 5, some were sold as 10. You bought a 10.
But within the neighborhood speaking, there already is density of 1 in 5 acres.
My
that-
street's
that
down the road the
exists.
same way. There's
Yes.
5 and there's 10. Yeah.
And in addition to that, if it was recommended, we would be happy to come up with some sort of, condition that one house must be smaller than the other or something
You're
like that.
planning
We'd
on
be-
these to be like Dutch houses, like?
No,
identical
no.
or
We,
something?
we don't even have the house plans yet. This is just something we had to do first to decide exactly what layouts we're gonna want, for the houses themselves.
And this is
and the-
for a farm worker or your like
It's for
mother-in-laws?
it's for
or-
us. It's for our family. We have 5 children, and the oldest is in college, and so it's just 7 people. It would not be for any outside family members. It's just for us. The 7 people that currently have the 10 acres now.
Okay. All right, any other questions, anyone? I mean, I don't think reducing the size of one house is the issue so
No.
much, Yeah.
I would-
Yeah.
no,
It's
I
not
was
gonna fix
trying
the
to
other
I'm
under-
happy to answer any other questions.
I
if
was
you
just
have
trying to
any.
understand, is it for like a mother-in-law deal or a grandmother?
My mother is in poor health, so there is a chance she might live there for a little while, but she's 82. It's not going to be a long-term situation. She also has dementia, so it would be kind of a 3-year thing, a 4-year thing. It would not be a long-term thing for her. Other than that, it would be the 7 or less as the children grow up and move away, so.
All right, thank you. All right. Any further discussion on the board? Is the board ready for a motion? I'll make a motion.
I just can't.
And don't forget to state your reason for it.
I'm going to state a reason.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Based on also input from the attorney, the board attorney, I think
Oh,
we
thanks
do-
a lot, yeah.
I think we do have to consider the fact that this was put under a deed restrictions. The fact that we have 5 acres and 10 acres, I think, is irrelevant. The size of the secondary dwelling still is going to change the character of the land. The people have purchased this, and I know it went at a nice price, bought it under the assumption that what they were agreeing to would be agreed upon by everyone.
Uniformity.
Yes,
upon
yes.
purpose.
So, as also has been brought up by staff, there are still some options rezoning. We won't go there because all of that's not us planning before execution, as I think Rhett said. So I'll make a motion that the board denies this application based on the deed restrictions and the advice we've received.
For a second, this may be abnormal. I am also willing to have one of the homes resemble a barn if we wanted to do something to make it look like the surrounding
Well, I mean, that might be
communities.
something you approach your neighbors with and talk down the road and y'all come
It
back.
could be a barn
But for right
dominium
now,
where
the
it
current
looks
mo-
like
yeah,
a barn
yeah,
versus
yeah.
a house.
Yeah, but I
So,
mean, the
I think
motion on the
it's
table right now
I
is
think
with
it's
this
a tract
application.
issue.
Yeah, well, I mean, they can reapply.
I know.
Yeah, yeah. All right, motion's been made.
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion, our motion. So sorry. All right. Moving on. Everyone has to agree, right? Did you agree? Okay. Oh, y'all making my life hard.
think
Did you
that's the
agree
right,
with that?
I do agree with that.
Because they can rezone or they can.
I do agree with that.
Okay.
I think it's significant different. You disagree, Rat? Or, hold on.
I'm just making sure I'm okay. All right, let's move on to an old application.
I don't
Application S
think
2025-14.
anybody wins.
All right, so our last application for today is again for a conditional use permit request for the operation of a pet boarding and grooming business at the property located at 95 La Costa Drive. The site consists of 5 acres, is zoned A1 agricultural and is accessed from La Costa Drive. Overall, staff recommends approval of this request. Shown here is the aerial view of the property with one principal structure. And the property is surrounded by other residential zones such as R1C and R2. The board previously reviewed this similar request for this site. In March 2025, a conditional use permit for dog boarding and grooming was denied due to concerns about compatibility with surrounding residential area. A revised application was submitted with fewer dogs and adjusted hours, but in June 2025, the board determined it was substantially similar to the earlier request and declined to hear it. The current application is now being presented again with updated staff analysis. In terms of summary of the applicant's request, the proposed operation includes overnight boarding of up to 10 non-personal dogs with a maximum of 14 non-personal dogs on site at any time, including grooming services. These are some of the images provided by the applicant that indicate the grooming area is located in the basement, along with 10 individual enclosures to provide a secure environment for the dogs. Furthermore, the applicant states that there is an outside run at the northwestern corner of the building that is approximately 41 feet by 82 feet and is enclosed by a 6-foot high wooden fence. The run is within a range of 45 to 50 feet of the western property line. The applicant also states that the dogs will be under supervision at all times when being kept outside. These are some of the images of the run. Five parking spaces are available on site for clients, and the applicant states that no more than 2 clients would be present at any given time. The applicant has not indicated whether additional staff will be employed who may require parking accommodations. To minimize impacts to surrounding properties, staff recommends a condition requiring that all client and visitor parking occur on site and prohibiting any off-site or street parking associated with the operation. This is the image of the parking on site. Just to provide a brief summary of the proposal, proposed hours of operation are 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. 7 days per week, with grooming services by appointment only between 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. The applicant anticipates no more than 3 client drop-offs or pickups per day and no more than 3 grooming appointments daily. 5 on-site parking spaces are available for clients, and the applicant indicates that no more than 2 clients would be present at any given time. Other impacts include waste, which is to be picked up daily and removed from the site to ensure cleanliness. Staff recommends that all dogs and operational waste be properly collected and disposed of so that no material or visual impacts affect neighboring properties. In terms of the site context, the property adjoins Georgetown city limits on all sides to include urban level density residential neighborhoods to the west and the south. Access to this property is by way of Payne's Landing Boulevard, which connects to US 460 approximately a quarter mile south. Staff recommends adding a condition requiring that all client access occur via La Costa Drive in order to minimize disturbance. In reviewing this application, the board is reminded that conditional use may be allowed in a zoning district, but requires case-by-case review due to potential impacts. The board must make factual findings and may impose conditions to protect public health, safety, welfare, and neighborhood character. In terms of applied regulations, Section 4.12G lists home occupations that exceed the limitations in the definitions of such. Section 2.1 defines home occupations as professional office, one professional with no staff, studio or personal services maintained or conducted within a dwelling or accessory building. A home occupation must be secondary to residential use, limited to 25% of the ground floor, have no visible exterior changes except a wall sign, which is up to 5 square feet, and must not create noise, odor, glare, pollution, or heavy traffic. Staff finds that with conditions, the proposed home occupation for an animal grooming business would be an appropriate use with minimal impacts to the general vicinity. Section 4.12K of the zoning ordinance lists kennels as a conditional use in the A1 zoning district. Kennels are defined in Section 2.1 as a commercial business for the sale or temporary boarding of 3 or more dogs over the age of 6 months, not including those owned by the residents or property owner. Section 2.56 gives the performance and design standards for kennels, which are as follows. All buildings and animal runs for a commercial kennel must be at least 100 feet from the property lines. As per staff review, the proposed outdoor run is about 45 to 50 feet from the western property line, which does not meet the requirement and would need site revisions through the development plan process to comply. The second design standard states that animal runs must be located to minimize off-site impacts such as noise. The proposed run is in the northwestern portion of the property with fencing and buffering, and again, final placement will be confirmed during the development plan review. The third being that animal runs must be fenced and screened with evergreen trees spaced no more than 30 feet apart. The applicant proposes a 6-foot wooden fence, and landscaping shall be added pursuant to this regulation. Any area where dogs are kept overnight shall be soundproof to minimize any off-site impacts. As per staff, documentation of sound mitigation measures may be required to confirm compliance. All signage shall be reviewed and approved by the Board of Adjustment as part of the conditional use request. As per our records, at the moment no sign has been submitted. And the last being applicants for conditional use approval shall state the maximum number of animals to be kept on site. As mentioned earlier, the applicant has stated a maximum of 14 non-personal dogs on site at any time, with no more than 10 boarding overnight. Staff recommends that this number be incorporated as a condition of approval. Additional animal-related regulations are enforced by county agencies, not the Board of Adjustment, and the applicant must obtain any required permits. Since the proposal includes outdoor site improvements, staff would require submission and approval of a development plan. With appropriate condition, staff finds that the use can operate without negatively affecting public health, safety, or welfare. I would just pause here to know if the board has any questions for the staff.
Does anyone have any questions? Not yet.
You need to ask anything, Chandler, or Chandler?
Is this location currently in operation?
I thought that,
Yes, it is. No, it's not.
Okay.
Okay, so which is it?
Are there any dogs on the property at this time?
There are personal dogs on the property at this time. The resident owns 5 dogs.
so you
Is grooming
haven't,
being performed?
Not as a business.
Not as a business.
All right, in terms of findings again, the project site is a 5-acre parcel zoned A1 and is accessed to a residential neighborhood surrounded by R2 and R1C zoning. Home occupations and kennels are conditional uses in the A1 district. The proposal includes boarding up to 10 dogs and grooming services with a maximum of 14 dogs on site. The outdoor run is about 45 to 50 feet from the western property line and does not meet the 100-foot setback. To comply, the site layout would need to be revised through development plan process. The site access is from Payne's Landing Boulevard via La Costa Drive with an estimated maximum of 3 client trips per day. The applicant proposes limits on hours, number of dog outdoors, daily waste removal, and on-site parking to reduce impacts. Compliance with performance standards such as setbacks, fencing, screening, and sound control, and animal limits will be reviewed during the development plan process. Animal control and welfare regulations are enforced by county agencies and additional permits may be required. With these standards and development plan approval, the use is not expected to adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare. In conclusion, staff recommends approval of the request for a conditional use permit to allow a home occupation for grooming services pursuant to section 4.12G of the zoning ordinance and approval of a conditional use permit to allow operation of a kennel for dog boarding pursuant to section 4.12K at the subject property. Should the board approve the application, staff recommends including the standard conditions of approval with additional condition which are as follows. The applicant must submit and receive approval of a minor development plan before beginning operations. All kennel structures must be at least 100 feet from property lines and a site plan showing structure location and setbacks must be provided. Perimeter landscaping is required along all property boundaries, including a minimum 15-foot buffer with 1 tree per 40 linear feet and a 6-foot hedge, wall, or fence in compliance with section 6.122. Existing vegetation may count towards this requirement if shown on a landscaping plan and approved by the Planning Commission staff. A 3-foot high continuous planting is required along the vehicular use area facing the southern boundary towards White Oak Village. Waste must be collected daily, properly contained, and disposed of in a way that prevents off-site impacts with details to be provided on storage and removal. Clients must access the property via La Costa Drive from Payne's Landing Boulevard, and signage must direct visitors not to use any other entrances. Hours of operation shall cease at 8 p.m. on any given day. No more than 14 non-personal dogs shall be on the property as part of commercial activity. No more than 10 non-personal dogs shall board overnight on the property. The applicant shall not exceed 4 dogs outside at any time. There shall be no allowance of animal outdoors without proper supervision. There shall be no more than 3 grooming appointments per day. No off-site or on-street parking shall be permitted for clients associated with this operation. All parking shall occur on the subject property within the designated parking area. The applicant shall comply with all applicable county animal control and requirements. Approval of this conditional use permit does not waive the need for any separate permits or approvals. The applicant shall return to the board prior to any changes in the approved conditions. Pursuant to KRS 100.237, failure to comply with the conditions of this permit shall constitute a review of the application.
Have any questions for Toshi?
Not this time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the applicant here, please?
Good evening, Madam Chairman and members of the board. My name is Andre Regard. I represent the applicant, Ashley Queen. I'm also a resident of Scott County. Ms. Queen is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow a small-scale boarding grooming operation at her property located at 95 La Costa Drive, which is a 5-acre parcel which has historically been zoned A1 agriculture. Kennels are expressly contemplated as conditional use within an A1 zoning district, and the purpose of the conditional use process is to ensure that such use operates in a manner that's compatible with the surrounding properties. The neighbors who bought the property chose to purchase property that was adjacent to A1. This is the regime that they chose to purchase property next to. Ms. Queen has worked diligently based on prior staff recommendations and the prior vote of this committee to reduce the scale and operational scope of the proposal in order to address the concerns that were raised during the prior application. Under the current proposal, the total number of client dogs is capped at 14, which is a reduction from 30. There would be no more than 10 dogs that can board overnight, 10 client dogs. She would ask that only 4 client dogs be allowed outdoor at any given time. The recommendation from the staff said 4 dogs. We would ask that it would be 4 client dogs. Grooming is limited to 3 appointments per day. We have heard the issue that was brought up before about traffic that would be created by the grooming. There are over 40 fourplexes located across the street. The amount of traffic that would be created by 3 grooming appointments a day is less than practically 2 of the fourplexes that are across the street. All operations will cease at 8 p.m. We know that the picture that was shown had a dog run. That's the dog run that's currently existing. If the plan is approved, then in accordance with the minor development plan, that dog run will be moved to accommodate the 100-foot boundary. So we're not asking that an exception be made for the current location. They do understand that that needs to be done. It hasn't been done yet because it's being used for personal use, and the committee has not approved anything yet. The proposal includes significant physical safeguards. The outdoor area will be enclosed with a 6-foot fence. Dogs will be supervised when they're outside, and overnight boarding will only occur indoor the residential structure. Waste will be collected daily and removed from the property, ensuring that there's no off-site impacts. The staff report notes that with specific conditions and appropriate conditions, the proposed conditional use can operate with the minimal impacts to the surrounding area. As I previously said, Ms. Queen has taken steps to compromise and is willing to accommodate the concerns that are reflected in the staff report. She is willing to comply with essentially all of the proposed conditions of the approval that has been made 3 times now, only with a few practical clarifications. First, just to clarify the first condition, that the property does remain A1. That looks like a standard condition that you include in your reports, but we just want to make sure it specifies that this is not any sort of change in the zone of the property. The property shall remain an A1 agricultural zone.
That would be us.
The permit should not alter the underlying agricultural status of the land. Second, the applicant would request that she be allowed, or she intends to install a 6-foot privacy fence on the entire 5-acre perimeter of the property. Therefore, she would request that this fencing satisfy the screening requirements for the vehicular landscaping buffer, since there will be a 6-foot privacy fence around the entire property. In addition, as you can see on the picture, there are trees that are already on the south side of the property between the fourplexes and the property, and her property. Third, we ask that the conditions referring to dogs outside only apply specifically to client dogs associated with the business, not the applicant's personal animals. So it would be 4 client dogs, no more than 4 client dogs outside. These clarifications ensure that the conditions remain reasonable, enforceable, and consistent with the agricultural character of the property. Furthermore, the reference to animals out, it says, there shall be no allowance of animals outdoors without proper supervision and containment. It should say there should be no allowance of client dogs outside without proper supervision and containment. The property is still agricultural A1, so there still can be other animals on other parts of the property. So that condition is not clear. It says animals, it should say client dogs. That's condition number 12. At its core, this request involves a modest, carefully controlled use of a 5-acre agricultural tract with strict limits on the number of animals, hour of operations, and minimal customer traffic. The applicant has demonstrated a willingness to work with staff and with the board. I've spoken to Mr. Holden and his staff to ensure that the operation functions responsibly and compatibly with the neighboring properties. For these reasons, the applicant respectfully requests that the board approve the conditional use permit subject to the staff conditions with the clarifications that I've mentioned, which, if you allow me to approach, I've put on a piece of paper for your reference.
Sure. Okay.
It's conditions 1, 2, 11, and 14 that we do ask for a slight modification.
Referring to client versus personal mainly.
Client dogs and animals.
Yeah.
Client dogs. Animals, given the nature of the property, is agricultural property to begin with.
Is there multiple species outside right now?
Is there other animals other than dogs on the property as of this time? And what are they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's agriculture, so I have a horse, goats, chickens, and roosters.
Is that what's on your property now?
Yeah. But it's ag.
The property is currently zoned as A1.
You just kept saying animals, so I'm like, we're talking multiple species, it sounded like.
Animals would be other than dogs. Yes,
Right,
ma'am.
that's why I was asking.
There's no restriction on A1 of what type of animals you can have on the property.
We're
Gotcha.
not questioning those animals, we're just
Okay.
trying to
Yeah.
make
Yes.
sure we know what you're talking about.
Also, on the evergreen requirement, in addition to having the privacy fence, we have surveyed other kennels that are located throughout Georgetown, and they do not meet, they do have the perimeter fencing, the commercial perimeter fencing, but they also do not have the current evergreen requirements that were laid out in the landscaping recommendation. And those were Happy Spot, Thunder Valley, and the Scott County Veterinary Clinic, which boards dogs. There any
And
other
those
questions?
are like the home occupation?
They're kennels under 2.56, and they do not have the evergreen buffering that was mentioned in the report. And this Queen is going to put the 6-foot privacy fence around the entire property. So you'll have double fencing, you'll have fencing on the dog run, which will be moved to accommodate the 100 feet that the staff has recommended, that's required by the rule. So that will have a 6-foot fence, and then there would be another 6-foot fence on the entire red perimeter of the property. And that would be a privacy fence, not a chain link fence.
All right, does anyone have any more questions for the applicant at this time?
I do. What about the waste, the mitigation for like WEDCO?
I'm sorry?
Like a WEDCO waste mitigation system to break down all the waste that,
I don't know the specifics. She's gonna do whatever the staff requires for their review as they put in their report to ensure the mitigation is appropriate.
Well, it said collection and disposal. I know we have people on our road
Right.
courses that just use like a dumpster.
right, I read through some of the concerns that were handed to us.
All right.
And one of them specifically asked for a WEDCO report approving extra load. I was just curious, once I read that,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you
I
from up here.
have pneumonia. I'm sorry. I can't talk louder. But I'm here in spirit. I was seeing this WEDCO question, so that's why I was asking directly about that.
This wing is going to comply with whatever mitigation requirements are reasonable and commercially used for these types of facilities.
All right, any other questions right now?
So there's a plan for that.
Yeah.
I would like to hear from the opposition.
No, well, we're getting there, okay.
Thank you.
That's all for now.
Thank you.
Hang tight. Is anyone here signed up to speak, neighbor-wise? Step forward, please. State your name.
I'm Dean Ward. I have a PowerPoint.
All right.
This is his.
You can have all technology, it's great.
This is his. That's what I was trying to say. There's a manual
I don't
copy.
have that.
Really?
No, I don't have. Here's one. I'll share yours. I have it, I've lost it.
I probably picked it up.
Janet got yours.
That's what I was wondering, what are you referring to?
That's why I kept saying, I was like, this is his. He's very organized. He's very organized.
Okay. Members of the board, if I may, Mr. Regard had mentioned a couple things that he would like to see what the board consider as far as the conditions are concerned. And so I would just like to take a moment and maybe talk through those and give our staff a little bit of time. So the first one was related to the total number of dogs that could be outside at any one point. I believe right now the staff report says 4. I understand that at this time, the applicant has 5 dogs right now. So obviously, 4 is not the right number there. I think that the board could definitely take into consideration how many total dogs, both the clients as well as the applicant's dogs, because, with this being, a home-based business, there is likely still a number beyond which it would be unreasonable to expect them to maintain or manage from staff's perspective. Secondarily, though, the consideration about having animals under supervision at all times, we 100% agree. As an ag parcel, a lot of ag animals spend a lot of time unsupervised. And so that makes total sense that what we're referring to there is specifically their clients' animals. We want them to be supervised while they're outside at all times. Finally, we agree with the applicant. Nothing about this permit is going to change the zoning. As we kind of talked about briefly at the last case, those are 2 very different processes. So yes, this is and will remain an A1 parcel until such time that it's either annexed or the applicant seeks a rezone to something else.
We're not that bored.
You're not that bored, yeah. Finally, as far as fencing is concerned, a 6-foot privacy fence around an entire 5-acre parcel. That's a lot of fence. Given the existing tree lines and the understanding that it's the applicant's intent to then put up a 6-foot fence, I believe, but I would have to confer at time of development plan review, that would meet our screening requirements for development plan. And so it
So
looks
one
like
and done, if they have the fence, that's it.
fence with the existing trees, I think it's going to check that box. But again, we reserve the right to review it for compliance at time of development plan. It looks like we got the PowerPoint up. Thank you.
Thank you, Holden. All right, Mr. Ford?
Madam Chair, board members, thanks for letting me present this evening. For the next spine-tingling minutes, I'm going to put a presentation together of why we oppose this particular permit. I am speaking for White Oak Village residents. I've been in contact with the HOA at Payne's Landing as well, and some of those folks are here tonight. So I respectfully request that some of the comments that were made earlier on when your board heard it the first and we're ready to hear it the second time, also be considered as part of this hearing as well.
This is a new application, Troy?
This is the same application as
I
last
thought
time.
that we had.
I don't believe this would be considered a new application, so
So
I
we-
don't think that's out of line to request that.
Yeah.
Thank you. My view is a little higher than staff view. You can see it's a little bit dense as compared to what was shown before. There is a lot of private residences. There is a lot of traffic. We all know that right now it's agriculture. We all know it's going to get developed, and it's going to get developed soon. And what we're going to have is this agricultural 5 acres in the middle of an entire residential community. We're here tonight to just see if this actually fits or integrates into our community. Doesn't say the community, I'm saying our community. We all live there. We move there for reasons, and this simply does not fit, and it's not a proper integration into our community. I and the attendees present respectively disagree, even though I'm using their computer, so I hope they don't shut me down. We disagree with the staff report and the recommendations. So I'm going to go through some of these that we find issue with and go from there. This pet boarding and grooming business does in fact impact public safety, and it will alter the character of the general vicinity. On page 2 of the issues and analysis, under home occupation, it's already been addressed. The home occupation shall not generate any atmospheric pollution, light flashes, glare, odor, noise, vibrations, truck, or other heavy traffic. We're not going to parade a bunch of people in front of you tonight. We do have a couple of impact statements that are going to check some of these boxes. On page 4 of the staff report, it says a private driveway also extends to the property from Frankfurt Road to the Russell Drive. We're talking about 460. The private driveway is not owned by Ashley Queen. There is no public access to this driveway. It's a private driveway that does go up there, but there are at least 2 gates between where it begins there on Delissa Drive and where it ends up to where their property begins. This is the area I'm talking about. This particular driveway area cannot be considered as any entrance or exit to this particular business. The only entrance and exit is the small blacktop portion of La Casa, where they built, I guess, blacktopped it from the Payne's Landing Street to a gravel driveway into the residence. So we do have dust, other issues. If you're coming from Stamping Ground, you're going to take Payne's Landing up to the address and make a right turn into the driveway. If you come from downtown using your GPS, it's going to run you either through Delissa Drive or Crystal Drive, both within White Oak Village. All 3 residential streets have limited traffic control. A pet boarding and grooming business will only increase the volume of existing residential traffic. How could it not? We're going to have people going in, we're going to have people going out. It's going to increase that traffic. There's going to be delivery. They're going to be picking up dog poop, apparently. So there's going to be other traffic than just the boarding patrons. Payne's Landing is also a school bus route, and the school bus actually stops just about a half a block from the entrance to La Costa Drive. The old folks like to go out, me as well, walk around our neighborhood, so we do have moderate senior traffic. And all of this is probably going to occur during the business hours at its best. Early morning, drop off in the afternoon, people late for work, so forth and so on. It will increase our traffic. This particular residence was moved and started a business long before they ever applied for a permit for you folks to do so. They moved it from 506 Dudley Avenue in Georgetown. We checked with the planner in Georgetown. At no time did they ever have permission to run that operation in Georgetown. We're looking at similar items going on today. The plans for this pet boarding and grooming business, the occupation and operation of the business, were clearly in place prior to the conditional use application and permit hearing on March the 6th. Some of the things our attorney just stated to you that are going to be done had plenty of time to be done by now to come up to this particular meeting. And we also had the June 5th meeting, that's why we're back here today. The Scott County Board of Adjustment attorney and secretary was notified on April the 3rd, 2025, of a denied permit violation based on current social media advertising and eyewitness accounts of an ongoing business. On April 22nd, 2025, a notice of zoning ordinance violation was sent to Ashley Queen at that address as rurally boarded by Holden A. Fleming, Director of the County Planning Commission. There's a copy of the letter in your packet, but I'll draw your attention to paragraph 4. To correct this violation, you must cease the use of 95 La Costa Drive for any kennel operation as defined above. This violation was not noted by staff in the background statement on page 1. It's not there. It definitely has to be considered. Residents were never notified of any follow-up, hearing, or resolution after the notice of zoning ordinance violation was filed. The grooming business continues, and it does today. Residents question the ability to enforce compliance with any of the conditions that they outlined in their application, or outlined in their application. We do not feel that they're going to play by the rules if you approve this permit. We're worried about the oversight. Is your staff going to be able to do it? What are the sanctions that I'm getting ready to go to now? Ashley Queen, doing business as rurally boarded, has shown noncompliance before and during the application permit and approval process and continues today. The attendees present do not trust this business to comply with any of the stated conditions outlined in the application. The attendees present tonight expect noncompliance to continue with the conditions outlined in the application. There have been changes. Now, we understand the business. We're not saying this business isn't great. We're not saying Ashley Queen isn't the best ever in doing this business. We say the business doesn't fit where they're trying to put it. Many clients using the business do not live in our vicinity, in our community. They commute. This business is not in their backyard. Clearly, it's in the backyard of White Oak Village and Payne's Landing. On page 5 of the staff report, under recommendations, approval of a conditional use permit for grooming services and zoning, and I just shut it off, and approval of a conditional use permit for kennel boarding. Are we talking two different applications, two different permits, or are we talking about one approval and one permit?
I believe there are inclusions in one permit.
Thank you.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's correct.
Okay, it's not really worded that way in their application. So the attendees present oppose both as either separate or combined applications or permits. The business does not meet all the requirements for a home occupation. Our concerns with the minor development plan on page 5 of the recommendation, business operations shall not occur on the property until such a time that the Planning Commission staff approve the minor development plan and all requirements have been installed. They shouldn't be in business now. They shouldn't be in business until all this is taken care of. I'd like to direct your attention to Facebook posts. I have trouble reading this one myself here. You see the address of 95 La Costa Drive? That is the business. That's the area we're talking about. Advertised is always open. Also, on the other side here, you'll see some reviews on May 11th, which is after their cease and desist order from the Planning Commission. Thanks for overnight boarding my dog. The business is not a proper integration into our community. The business location clearly impacts our vicinity. The business will increase traffic in our residential areas. A residential driveway is the only business entrance and exit. There is no alternative driveway. Our continued concerns with the lack of inspections, enforcement of complaints, violations, and continued non-compliance after the applications and permits are approved. Our continued concerns with enforcement and sanctions. In short, A pet boarding and grooming business is not a proper integration into our community. I would like a show of hands of those in the room that oppose this permit, please. And I would like to submit to the board this presentation that you each have. There's going to be an impact letter read from the McDonald family. A couple of the pictures that staff had on their presentation always showed a view away from White Oak Village. Had they shown a view toward White Oak Village from where the parking is, you can clearly see the houses at White Oak Village. There is glare, there is dust, there is other issues that would impact those people that live along that perimeter, the same with people that live on the perimeter at Payne's Landing. We also gave to you a signature petition. Some of those members may have been here tonight by accident, also signed a petition. We can go through that. But there's others as well that have signed a petition against approval. Charlie's got that. I don't know whether to pass it out or not. So thank you very much. I'm open to any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions for Mr. Ward at this time?
What kind of noise level have you been hearing from current operation?
Mostly it's crunching of driveways, is the gravel driveway and stuff like that. To my knowledge, I have not heard any barking complaints that I know of, but someone else may be able to clear that up.
I do.
Oh, there you go.
But I'm not signed up to speak, but I do hear them. And I live right next to the McDonald's.
Okay, does anyone have any?
Jean Wyborg,
Does she need to swear in?
Do you swear or affirm?
I do.
Your last name again?
Wyborg, W-I-B-O-R-G.
Thank you.
Well, I'm really not prepared to speak other than you asked if there was, what kind of noise there was.
You're probably going to
I
be
do
very
hear the
genuine
I do
then.
hear the traffic in and out. My front door to my fourplex faces that property. It faces the driveway. And I hear the dogs barking, and I hear a lot of the traffic going in and out.
Thank you. Charlie, how many people signed that petition? Do you have a total there in front of you? Do y'all know how many
Hey,
people?
what have I done with it?
Off the top, 55 to 60, maybe 70.
All right, thank you.
Good, thank you.
Good enough, thank you.
Ah, there it is.
All right, is anyone else signed in to speak that would like to speak?
Just show Sonny.
Okay, good evening, board members. My name is Paul Julian. I'm here to read a letter from Dennis and Deborah McDonald dated February 24th, 2026. This is regarding case number 2025-14. We received a notice from Georgetown-Scott County Planning Commission on February 23rd, 2026 regarding the meeting on March 5th for the conditional use application for the property at 95 La Costa Drive. We're unable to attend on March 5th in person as we will be out of the country. Thus, we are submitting this in writing to the Board of Adjustments. As an adjourning property owner, we would like to state our opposition to the business for the following reasons. 1, the proximity of the entrance and exit. The entry and exit traffic are disruptive to our being able to enjoy using our patio and our general quality of life. This is why we bought this condo, and we're now threatened. Traffic pollution. In and out vehicle traffic happens at all times from early morning to late at night, beyond the times specified in the application. This includes, at times, commercial delivery trucks and their accompanied exhaust fumes. Number 3, noise pollution. There is no sound or visual barrier between properties, and we can see and hear every customer vehicle going in and out, and they see us also. Number 4, light pollution. Vehicle headlights entering and exiting after dark shine directly into every condo along the fence row. Number 5, air pollution. Vehicular traffic entering and exiting on the gravel driveway creates dust that covers our exterior patio. This impacts our air quality, and we cannot open our windows. In addition, there is a large burn pile located near both the Paynes Landing Boulevard properties and the Crystal Drive condos. A neighbor in their 80s with health issues had to call the fire department due to smoke and ash pollution, which impacted most of White Oak Village. We and neighbors are concerned about a live amber starting a fire in the community. Personal privacy, number 6. While sitting in our TV room one evening after dark, we observed a vehicle exiting the 95 La Crosse Drive property. The headlights shone right at us. As the vehicle turned, it stopped parallel to our windows and just sat there for a few minutes as though they were watching us. This was very uncomfortable. For these reasons, we're asking the Board of Adjusters to deny this application. Respectfully, Dennis and Deborah McDonald. Thank you.
Thank you.
Some of those things that were mentioned are, some of those things that were mentioned, I'm sorry, I can't speak louder, but some of those come with A1 zoning, in my opinion, because I've seen combines come in the night because that's when they're done, or irrigating tobacco. I'm just saying some of that stuff is expected in the A1 zone.
Non-related to them.
Right, that's what I'm trying to say. Some of that's expected, other things I understand.
All right. State your name, please.
Yeah, sorry, Cassie Ernst. I'm here on behalf of Paynes Landing HOA.
Excuse me, your name again, please?
Cassie
Cassie
Ernst,
Ernst.
E-R-N-S-T.
Oh, yeah.
I signed it. Yeah. So I think it's pretty clear, we all raised our hands, we're pretty opposed. The two things I want to clarify from what you didn't hear from White Oak was it was presented that the applicant diligently tried to work through and made a lot of reductions. The one thing that did not occur to either any of the HOAs or neighbors was any discussion to say, hey, this is happening, hey, this is what we're doing. No discussion was had. And I think that was in the original denial back in March. That was one of the feedback points from the Board of Adjustment. So something to clarify, at no point in the last year has that happened. The second thing I would also ask, again, don't agree with the process. This conditions suggested by staff. If we were to call code enforcement if this gets approved, and those are the conditions, I would respectfully request the board to consider how those are going to be validated. I would hate it for it to be our word versus their word. I would hate it to be staff's trying to understand, are you violating or not? So I would request that the conditions be checked to make sure there's some tracking or some method to really verify as best we can. That's my last point. Any questions for me?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Just out of my own curiosity, keeps popping in my mind, did the applicant ever talk to any of the neighbors before starting this kennel? Think to discuss it, what you were going to do, what their feelings might be on it, to be a good neighbor? Was that ever done? Did you ever do that?
My understanding that was not done.
Okay, thank you.
Something that stuck with me is in his PowerPoint, the social media review. Was that an off-site review, or if we contacted?
The problem with social media, I mean, being a lawyer, that's not very good evidence. We don't know when that was posted. We don't know when they wrote it.
I guess it runs deeper than that. I was trying to be kind about it, I think, but like I just wonder how you can not generate an income if that's your way of. Yes. And so I was trying to understand, have you worked off-site instead?
Sorry, I didn't understand the question.
If
How are-
that's
how are
her
they making a
occup-
living if
yeah,
they're not
that's
doing
what
it
I'm
at the
trying to
house, is
ask.
what
Is
she's
like,
asking.
if my,
She's not doing the business currently.
Because she said grooming is occurring, but not as the business. So
So-
she's saying she's grooming for no cost. Is
that's
that
that's
she's
what I'm
saying?
asking. Is it charitable?
She says she's not grooming any fine dogs on the property. She has 5 dogs.
Well, I know that, but okay, well, she's,
No,
that's what I
she
was asking.
said that. She
Not
said
business.
yes,
That was
and
kind
I got that, and that's why I was like.
I'm with you.
So I wondered if you were operating underneath of another. Go ahead.
So I don't, respectfully, I don't think it's anyone's business how I'm making money, but, I get paid to be my son's caregiver because he has special needs. And then we we are also doing in-home visits for people since we can't do the boarding at the moment.
That's what I was trying to
Yeah.
understand is, are you doing the service some other way, like under another?
Yeah, we're doing in-home visits for people. We have switched to do that. That way we can do drop-in visits in their home while all of this is in the process.
Yeah, I didn't just look at that review like it happened at your house. That's why I'm asking you.
No, and that has been on there. I have not been doing anything with that since Holden called me the day when I was in my backyard. He's like, hey. And there are answers to the majority of the questions that people have, but I've came to the point of
The little part that is our business is operating without being allowed to operate, and that's why I was asking too.
yeah. So I've been doing in-home visits. I have a business license for that, and I am insured. So, to my knowledge, that's allowed.
We just get stuck in between when we have different input. We're just trying to figure out what's going on because,
Yeah, and, I mean, I don't know what my attorney wants me to add, but, some of this is like going back to my character. So like, at Dudley, I didn't know I was supposed to have a permit. I had a business license, I was paying taxes. My neighbor said no problem with it. So like, if someone had came to me and said, hey, you need a permit, I would have been in here getting a permit. Like, that's the thing, I wasn't trying to hide it. I was posting on social media, you can go back, you can see it. I mean, I have the tax records, I have the business licenses, like, you want it, I've got it. So like that, even that, like, it feels like they're coming after my character, and it's like, no, I wasn't trying, it wasn't a purposeful illegal, or I would have came and got the permit. I had my business license, paying taxes, all the things, I didn't know.
I'm not attacking your character. None of this is
it's not you
personal for
guys,
me.
It's some other people. So,
thank you. Okay, so where are we at? I
Ma'am.
think we had someone else want to speak.
Good evening. Thank you for hearing our concerns.
You know, we can speak up a little bit.
Okay, thank you for hearing our concerns. I just have one quick question, and it's to the applicant. In the pictures of the kennel rooms,
yeah.
we don't see any drains. How does the cleaning of the kennel rooms interact with the septic system? For your consideration to the board, I've attached 2 sheets showing hazards to humans when using 2 different types of cleaning things. Assuming both liquid and fecal waste connects to the existing system, can we please see the WEDCO report approving the extra load on the septic system?
So that was where you said you're not sure of the plan yet.
That's why I asked about the
We
WEDCO.
don't have an answer to that, but we are going to comply
Holden, would
with
that be in the developmental plan, that would come up? Disposal of the waste?
the minor
Tow
developmental
sheet?
plan and the recommendations. The recommendations said they
Holden.
wanted a plan for waste disposal. We'll provide a plan for waste disposal as part of the minor development.
Yeah, I said, are the details about waste management separate or included in the development plan?
See, that's not us. So.
They're included in the
Holden.
minor development plan, the way I understood it.
Has that development plan been submitted?
Well, it hasn't been submitted because they have to know they have the ability to do it before they spend the money to get the development plan, which then has to be approved.
They come after us.
I understand. Okay. Thank you so very much.
Is that right, Charles? They come after us, right?
Holden says yes.
Yeah. There'd be no reason to go get permission to do that if they don't already have permission to do the whole process.
All right. Does anyone else wish to speak? Does board have any questions for
Well,
me?
may I make a rebuttal? Thank you. I would like to make a few rebuttal comments. I appreciate an opportunity to make a few comments.
Oh, it's so green.
We appreciate the comments that have been made. Some of the comments are made, being an attorney who works in a court of law, there's hearsay, there's opinions, there are complaints about the current use of the property. There's currently an agriculture zone. It's currently A1. All of the neighbors purchased next to an A1 property. As far as other dog noises are concerned, other people have dogs. Miss Queen is not the only person that owns dogs. This is a very interesting situation. Normally I work with people that own farms that don't want residential development into their space. And what's happened here is as Georgetown has developed and Scott County has grown, residential development that is more dense than this A1 property creates more traffic than this A1 property, has more animals than this A1 property, has developed around an agricultural piece of property, which in the state of Kentucky, we try to preserve agricultural property as much as possible. It's one of our natural resources. So we have a residential situation that is encroaching and defining what agricultural property can be used for. The planning and zoning regulations allow for this conditional use. It is already contemplated as something that can be done. This board should look at it and say, what are some reasonable accommodations that can be made? And we believe the staff report does include those reasonable accommodations, which Ms. Queen is willing to agree to, all 17 of them with some very slight modifications. One of them being a perimeter fence on the entire 5 acres, which is, I think even Mr. Holden was surprised. I mean, that is a big commitment. Ms. Queen is committed to running a nice, small, home-based boarding and grooming operation so she can remain at home on her farm, tend to her special needs child, and produce some income. That's what we're asking for. Thank you very much.
Ma'am? Ma'am? I'm sorry, just a quick rebuttal to what he said. The overwhelming majority of the people in White Oak moved there when that land belonged to the college.
Well,
So that's all I'm saying. You know, we didn't buy it because it was an A1. We bought it because it was the only condo development for seniors that was available.
well, I think one thing that I just want to comment on, not as the board, but as myself, what I've been struggling with this application is something that this attorney keeps referring to also. This is an A1 property, but it is not surrounded by A1 property. It is set in a denser population. We have, what is that, R1, R2, Charlie? Which
R2 of them.
R2. So the impact of the A1, I know part of our conditions of approving things says the use would impair, the use shall not impair the integrity or character of the zone in which it is located or in the adjacent zone. So that's what I'm struggling with. We're not
The
looking at this
adjacent.
A1. We're looking at A1 that is greatly impacting a surrounding zone that is a different zone. As far as the other animals on A1, I mean, it's A1. I don't know if they want goats and horses and all that. I don't think we're trying to limit the use as an agriculture area. We're questioning its use as a commercial area. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes. Does that make sense, Charlie? Am I speaking correctly?
I would say, you're assuming agriculture itself is a commercial, so that's a.
Well, I know, but I meant non-agriculture.
That's not
yeah.
an appropriate
Well,
recommendation.
that's what I was
That's not
asking,
appropriate, because agriculture is commercial.
Yeah.
You mean the
There could be-
occupation of hand.
Occupation, non-agricultural occupation.
Occupation, which is what
I understood what she's
But
saying.
agriculture is,
Yeah, you're right.
In general, it's not an
agriculture
occupation.
is a commercial enterprise,
Okay. I mean, that's why I was asking.
which involves significant traffic and significant odors and significant smells.
Okay,
And
Charlie,
we
you-
acknowledge that, our board member acknowledged that, but a lot of that is not related to this business. I mean, I live across from a farm and there's,
Yep.
there's, in the middle of the night, they do hay feeding, so there goes the tractors with the lights and all that.
That's what I was-
So that's something that's separate. All right, anybody else have any comments?
May I rebut this rebuttal? If you need me to. I'm going to be very brief. It is a business, it's not a farm. And our purview tonight is it a proper integration into our community? I maintain it is not. Thank you.
Okay, farming is an occupation, but agriculture is just a description.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. I understand.
Yeah.
I
All
understand
right,
what
anyone
you're
else
saying.
have any input, or does the board wish to have any discussion amongst itself? Or any questions for anyone in the room? If not, can I ask?
Well, let me ask
Go
one
ahead.
question to Ms. McQueen or her attorney. Will she be, if approved, taking all breeds of dogs?
There was not,
sizes, and it doesn't matter?
there was not a breed restriction,
Okay.
and there's not a breed restriction that we're aware of in the residential
Okay,
neighborhoods.
my question's answered.
You only groom dogs?
Sorry?
It's only a dog groomer?
As opposed to other animals?
Like cats? Yes.
No, it's just dogs.
No, I have a close friend who is a groomer, and like I've learned some people don't do other species. Some
It's
people
just
do.
dog grooming, yes, ma'am.
Okay, and one other question. You're saying there'll be 4 dogs outside at any one given time?
It was four
Client.
client
That's what we're
dogs.
talking about, client.
Because she currently owns 5 dogs.
Yes, okay, we're just talking about this operation particularly.
And then the other point was about the word animal, unattended animal, we would ask that that be client.
Because we don't interfere with the goats on the.
Correct. Having had a boarding farm, I have client horses that stand in fields unattended.
Okay, but my question along that line is, if there's 4 dogs at any one given time, okay, how many employees will be with
There would be
those 4 dogs?
there would be no employees.
Oh, I think
Ms. Queen is not going to have any employees.
But she will go out with it.
Well,
Someone will be out with them.
Yes, somebody will be supervising the animals outside.
The conditions, it says someone either supervised at all times.
That's what I read.
So that would be 9 dogs outside?
Yes.
It's a lot.
Possibly 9 dogs?
It could be possibly 9 dogs outside, that's correct. Or, no, it would, well, it could be possibly 9 dogs outside,
Counting her 5.
counting her
Our
5.
personal dogs are not our business.
No.
But personal dogs, anybody could have personal dogs, and there are no restrictions on breeds, subject to nuisance laws, of
But there's
course.
restriction in numbers.
It's kind of hard to figure out the difference between client dogs and business dogs.
Excuse me, can I ask one question? The runs are going to be, or the run is going to be moved.
Correct.
Could you show with the pointer where the current run is for those of us who don't know necessarily?
Well, I believe-
And where is the relocated run going to be?
Well, the current run was within 45
I
feet
knew
of the
Elise would have her
corner.
pointer.
It was on the picture, and the requirements are that the run be removed at least 100 feet.
There it is.
So that's where. it currently
Okay,
is.
all right, that's the run now. Okay, and it'll be moved what?
What's that?
Parking is not right there.
Okay, so the parking is not right here.
No, parking, there's 2 spots up there next to that fence.
Parking will be up here.
There's 2 by the garage, 2 by the fence, and there's 1 right amongst there where there's pavement.
Parking's
So
right here.
if all of that over there, that's our personal parking. That's not business.
Oh,
And where the dog run be?
Oh, the dog, well, so that's where the dog run currently is. Where it's gonna be part of the development plan because we have to figure that out with them.
Okay, but they will comply to the 100
Yeah.
foot.
Yeah, it's whatever we figure out with them.
Whoa, there's no other feedback in where that can go?
But regardless, it'll be 100 feet from
Well, it has,
any boundary.
so the minor development plan has to be approved. It has to meet the conditions, which include a 100-foot setback. We did ask for a couple of deviations from the recommendation dealing with the 3-foot landscaping for the parking because of this, of the commitment to do the 6-foot privacy fence all the way around, which would be on the minor development plan. There was also a condition about waste, and we understand that to mean we're going to have to provide information to the staff for the approval of the minor development plan, which I guess the minor development plan comes before you.
No.
No, it's minor, so staff can approve it, I suppose.
If no variances
Yeah,
are
if no
requested,
variance,
you
then they-
review
Yeah,
it
but
ministerially.
Yeah, it would
Okay,
be,
that's
yeah.
right, that's what I
But,
thought.
but it won't come back here.
Right. So we'll work with them. And some other issues have been brought up dealing with how waste was handled, and I'll address that with my client and make sure it's,
And I remember from the previous meeting, there were questions about being like fire inspection, building inspection.
whatever business inspections are required are going to be complied with. You know, if there's work that's done, then the appropriate permitting will be done.
So the only question then I would have real quick, going back to the staff packet that said that no operations would start start up, continue, whichever word, until all the conditions are met. So this 6-foot fence will go up prior to any operation commencing back.
That's correct.
Okay.
And all of the minor development stuff,
Yeah.
right?
All of the conditions, yeah.
Well, I'd like to make a motion based upon the history of noncompliance. I think the use would impair the integrity and character of the zone in which it is located in the adjacent zone, and no conditions could adequately buffer the impairment. So I make a motion to deny.
Could you be more specific with what kinds of impacts that you don't believe we can properly buffer and screen?
Noise for one, and the dust level from the traffic for two. Those are the two biggest ones that I have concern on.
It's not easy.
No. Just waiting on Charlie to finish writing it down.
Yeah, and would it be possible for you to go through that again to make sure I'm getting everything that you've got?
Okay. Based upon the history of noncompliance. And
wait, don't go so fast. Hold on.
Okay.
It's a big word to write.
Okay, got that phrase, based on history of noncompliance. Go ahead.
The use would impair the integrity and character of the zone.
All right, hold on.
Okay.
Oh, and character, yeah.
Through noise, traffic.
All right, now, excuse me, you said of zone. They're in an A1
Of the
zone,
neighborhood.
so they're not really impairing the character of the A1 zone.
Of the
So you're
neighborhood.
talking about an adjacent zone.
Correct.
Yeah, residential.
All right, I've caught up with you.
I'm
Keep
not
going.
contagious, anybody. I see your faces.
And no conditions could adequately buffer the impairment.
I'm sorry, say it again. And no conditions?
Okay. What was I? Yeah, no, and no conditions could adequately buffer the
Oh,
impairment.
no conditions will adequately. Okay, adequately buffer the impacts, did you say? I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And then you gave examples of the impacts?
Noise,
All right, for example, go ahead.
noise and the dust impact from traffic.
And you said smell.
Okay, anything else?
And
Needless to say, I will correct the exact wording with what's on the video, but I'm trying to get as close as I can.
That's the major reasons.
All right, let me try to reread this for you. All right, based on history of noncompliance, the use would impair the integrity and character of the adjacent zone, and no conditions would adequately buffer the impacts, for example, noise and dust from traffic. Now, is that noise from the dogs?
Noise level from the whole
The
operation.
whole operation, all right. Well, I can't read that. Let me try to read it.
Janet, you wrote a whole book. Charlie, she's wrote a whole trilogy over here.
Yeah.
All right, a motion has been made with much effort.
With much effort, yes.
Would someone like to second the motion?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
I'm sorry.
Aye.
Well, I'm supposed to do
Unanimous.
that.
Unanimous.
Unanimous.
Unanimous. I'm a mess.
Hi, guys, it really bothers me because she's tried so hard.
Thank you.
All right. Is there any other business for tonight's meeting?
One other thing to note is that next month we will like to do elections, and so just put that on your calendars.
I won't be here anymore. I'm gone.
Thank you.
If she's not going to be here, can we elect her?
Thank y'all for making my last meeting.
Is that the way it's done?
Gone. All right.